Video.
Morning.
So welcome to the third week. At least half of people are here, which is good. And last week is we saw vowels, um, then consonants, and this week we'll see a bit of like how to write vowel signs and how to write aksharas. So let's recap what we did the last 2 weeks. So let's recap again the vowels and all that. Let me do that. Right. So first the vowels. So there are like 14 vowels, right? So we have a, e, e, u, u, ru, ru, l, l, a, I, o, ow, aha, right? 14 vowels. Then let's go for the consonants. We have ka, kha, ga, ga, nga, cha, cha, ja, jha, ya, da, tha, da, dha, na, ta, tha, da, dha, na, pa, kha, ba, bha, ma, ya, ra, la, pa, sha, sha, sa, ha, and we have la, which is right. So these are the consonants, and to reiterate the confusables, you have ka and you have a. This is ka and this is a. Then you have nga and this is e. Then you have ka, pa, and ba. This This is p, and this is v. And then you have the, then you have u, then you have o. Right. So these are just the confusables. Apart from that, you have yeah, you have huh, and you have the. The only difference would be, just to reiterate, if this is the baseline, can go slightly down, or it's usually big compared to v, or sometimes it's a pulse long. So this is v, this is v. And these are like v. So usually in print, you tend to see with a big head, but when you're handwriting it, you can slightly write it below the baseline to make it clearer for. And for v, you just have to make it longer. If it's short, it's v. If it's long, it's p. Same way, if we have year, usually it goes a bit longer. For the, and it's longer and a curve for the, right? Again, just because it's handwriting, what you could do is like you can slightly write here on the line for the, right, slightly below the line, so that it's disambiguous, right? So let's look at those consonants again, because we're going to do that. So we have k, k, here k, 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 n, ch, ch, j, j, ny, t, th, d, th, n, t, th, d, th, n, p, h, b, h, m, y, r, l, v, sh, sh, k, h, and you have the retroflex la. Right? Is all this clear? So let's go to a new topic. That would be the matras or the vowel signs. Again, this is probably the easiest because the vowel signs are pretty much the same as Tamil, except for like few simplifications, for example, oo on oo. But apart from that, it's pretty much the same as Tamil. Let me show you. Start writing the vowel signs. Let's take g because it's different. We have g, ga, gi, gi, gu, gu, Gr, gr, gl, gl. Sometimes you can also see this gl, gl. And then you have gay, guy, go, go, come. Right. So as you have noticed, this thing is pretty much the same as Tamil. Right. And this thing, it can also write like this. It's pretty much same as Tamil. This is very similar to Tamil. For instance, Tamil you would write Kai. In Grantha it would be Kai. But you can notice that like this thing is basically these two things written together fast. So the origin of like the Tamil I sign is basically two A signs combined together. But in Grantha, you still write them separately because the site was standardized. So let's do it once more. We have the ga. This is the ga. Ki. He. Gu. And gu. Right. It's simple. There's no confusion that it's exactly the same as Tamil. So one thing that's different is the R. So you have gr, right? This corresponds to gr. And you have the long version of it. It's pretty similar. It just has slightly bigger. That would be gr. Right? This is something that you would have to learn. You gr, gr. Of course, you do have the
sorry, this grew, no, that apostrophe kind of thing that you have, is that a part of the script or what is that?
Because I invented it, because Tamil doesn't have the R sound.
Right. Oh, okay, okay.
So because Tamil only has like Ru, somehow we have to differentiate Ru and R.
Oh,
So
okay.
basically,
So
I put an
Okay, that sign is for differentiating it from gr and r.
Yeah. So
Okay,
basically,
okay.
you have this would be r, and this would be ru. Because Tamil doesn't do that. So I put an apostrophe to differentiate it. So yeah, that's gr and gr, and you have the lu signs as well, but you wouldn't come across it. Gl and gl. So I have gl, gl. Sometimes in print, you also see this gl and gl, but usually it's written next to each other. And pretty much, if you read like proper Sanskrit text, you probably have like pretty much like one word that appears in classical Sanskrit, klipta. So that's pretty much the only common word you find lu anyway. So klipta. That's probably the only word. That's probably the only common word you come across, the lu sound. And according as far as my Sanskrit knowledge is concerned, there aren't many other common words that has the sound lu, where r is common and r is quite common as well in Sanskrit, but lu is like you rarely come across it, right? Then it's fine. Then you have the a, right? Gay. This would be gay, right? As you have noticed, this is long in Tamil, but this is long in Grantha, but short in Tamil, right? Same way. Go. This is short in Tamil, but long in Grantha. There's a historical reason for that. Let me come to that because it's quite interesting. So before Tamil print was properly standardized, right? In fact, up to like 1800s, if you take any Tamil grammatical text, right, even up to Nanu, you would see that they would pretty much say that A and O should have a pulli, should have a dot to show that it's short. If it doesn't have a pulli, it's a long sound. It's pretty much written in all of the classical Tamil grammars. But if you take the modern Tamil script, you would notice that that's not the case. Because in old Tamil, right, in Tamil Brahmi, you had A and you had A and you had O and then you had O. Same way, you had K and you had K. Same way, you had O and then you had Ko, right? This thing was pretty much carried over until the 1800s. Like, strictly speaking, pre 1800s or pre 1700s, you had to write like A, A, O, O, and you have okay, A, Co, Co, right? And as you'd know, in manuscripts, even in like inscriptions, the pulley was not always written down, even though grammatically it's supposed to be placed. Most people, maybe it was too difficult to write a dot, it slows them down, or people didn't bother to write clearly, you wouldn't find the dots. So in like in medieval handwritings, even manuscripts, even though coal and coal was supposed to be with dots, usually both of them are written like this, which means like you have to infer whether it's long or short based on the context, whether it's a la or ill based on context. And in fact, the first Tirukural was probably written right. No dots, no differentiation of like Ra and Tonakal, no differentiation of like A and A. And the story goes like after the Christian preacher Veerama Munivar came to Tamil Nadu, he saw that even though by convention you should have the dots, people were not writing the dots. So when Tamil was like properly typeset, he reintroduced the dots for the ik, ippa, nich, but he was uncomfortable introducing the dots for like short A and short O. So what he did was like he basically invented the new signs. Instead of writing this, he said, you know what, this will be short and I'll invent a new sign for the long vowels, right? Instead of this and this, he said, you know what, this will be short, I'll introduce the long vowels, right? And that's one of the reasons, right? The long vowels are like have a different sign. But again, Grantha being a traditional script, it did not go any of this medieval or late modern script reforms. So in Grantha, this still denotes the long A and long O, similar to pre-modern Tamil, right? That's the quirk. Usually you will get used to it as you learn read Grantha. And you have, last but not least, you have Gao. Right. In Tamil, it's written both sides. In Grantha, most commonly written only on the left side. But in some text, you'll also find like this, similar to Tamil, but mostly you'll come across like this, right? Of course, and you have come and aha. Right. So let's go through it one more time. I forgot. Instead of ig, instead of kuli, you have to write like this on top of it. So you have ig. You have ik, and you have il. Sometimes in print, it's not written on the top, but also on the side. Yeah, sometimes you'll see this, or even this. That's also correct. But when you're handwriting it, usually the marker goes on top. So let's write one more time, all together. G, ga, hi, gu, gu, gr, gr. Let me write it properly. Gr, gl, gl. I said it's long in Grantha. Ge, gai, go, cow, or cow, gum, and right. You just have to learn these two new forms. We just have to read this differently in Grantha, make it longer. Again, the same, similar to Tamil. We just write it fast and together in Tamil, but in Grantha it's written separately. And Gau is pretty much like Tamil. Sometimes you find the same thing as Tamil, but others, it's basically just the right side markers written. Do you guys have any questions on it? And I forgot the one last part, and you have uk, right? It's basically cook. Right. Right. I hope everything is clear. Let's write it like one more consonant, and we'll go to the next. We'll go to the interesting bit of it, the Samyuktaksharas, right? Let's take another consonant. Let's take a different one. Let's take bha, right? Let's take bha, and let's write everything. We have bha, ha, bhi, bhi, bu, bhu, bhu, br, br, bhr, bhl, bhl, bhe, bhai, bho, Bhav, oh, Bhav, and you have and you have hum and aha, right. And this is probably the easiest part of like the Grantha. It's a very, very similar to Tamil. And once you know Tamil, you only have to read. You only have to like learn the four and this one, right? Everything is like very, very close to Tamil or like pretty much same as Tamil. And then based on that, we can actually write like some Sanskrit words, right? Once we can write the word Ramaha. So it's basically Ra Ramaha. And if you want to say, I want to say like, my name is Vinod. You can say like that. Mama Nama, my name is. I'm mixing two scripts again. Right. Ma, ma, Nama. Right. Let me see if there's any other easier Sanskrit word. Let's say, write the word Dadatu. You can say that would be Datu. That would be the. And in a way, that's why Grantha was used in Tamil, as you can say, right? You know, the word Dadatu, right? In normal Tamil, it just becomes, right? And there's no way to differentiate which is which the we are writing. And that's why traditionally, when Sanskrit was written and Sanskrit was written in Tamil Nadu, Grantha was used because in Grantha, beautifully you can say this is the, and tu. Same way, consider the word dhatu, right? In Tamil, usually it becomes tadu. It basically changes pronunciation because we don't have the tradition of like marking which is the and which is the. But in Grantha, you can write it properly as dhatu, right? And that's why our ancestors, right, they actually maintained two scripts, one for Sanskrit and one for Tamil, right? When you write Sanskrit, you have to differentiate all the Varga consonants, so you can write them clearly and unambiguously. In Tamil, in most cases, you don't need that. Let's write one more simple word in Grantha. Let's write the word Sadharana. In Grantha, this would be Sa, Ha, Sa, No. Right. Again, let's take another word. Say, we want to write, say, Devi. Right. Let's say I want to write the word becomes Ka, Li, Te, Vi, right? And one thing to consider here, right? As you know, in Tamil, Ta as special forms, T and T. Similarly, in Grantha, you have T and T. So when you have La, you have Li, Li. So when you want to write the word yeah, so this is, so this may look like Tamil. It looks like in Tamil, T becomes like this. In Grantha, not write like this, right? And that's something to remember. So yeah, that's it for the vowel signs. Any questions at all? Right. So based on what we have learned, the basic vowels and the basic vowel signs, you can basically like sort of like read and write like some very simple Sanskrit sounds. So let's go to the Samyuktaksharas, right? Let me create a new one. So yeah, before I move on again, right? I just want to like, if everything clear, you guys have any questions? How things work? There are no questions. It means like everything's clear or nothing is clear. I'll assume that everything is clear. So
yes, it is clear.
Yeah, right. Cool. Let's go to Samyuktaksharas. Whiteboards. I'll get a new one. Loading. Right. So again in Tamil, we don't have the concept of Samyuktaksharas. For instance, the word Kannan, it's just written with like dots, right? but in Devanagari, people know that written like with complex forms. But in Tamil, we don't do that, except for like one exception. The word ksha, where k and sha fuses to becomes ksha. And you have the word shri, basically sha and ra and e, which becomes shri. So except for like ksha, right again, except for ksha and shri, you wouldn't find lots of mitaksharas. But Grantha, again, because it's designed to write Sanskrit, it has a very complex way of writing Samiktaksharas, right? And if you know Devanagari and how it might work, for instance, Devanagari, to write the word, the consonant the, you write the and write the small da below, right? Again, if you want to write the word the deer, you basically write clearly is basically the plus here, you write it in a single stroke to write here. Same way if you have
I don't know if it's a problem in my screen. I'm not able to see anything that you're writing.
is that so? Okay, let me share it again.
I'm not sure if it's a problem. Others are able to see it.
Okay, I'm the host now. Let me share it again. Is it visible? Let me write something.
The screen is visible, but nothing is written on it as of now.
But now?
I don't see anything on it.
You don't see anything on it, okay.
No, what about others? Others are able to see?
Vidya can see a sine wave. Do you want to log out and log in again?
Okay,
you want to try that?
I'll do. Let me try,
Yeah,
yes.
I can create a new one. Right, let me share the thing. Can you say anything?
Yes, I can see it now.
All right, great.
Yeah, thank God.
Right. No worries, no worries, no worries. So as just a quick recap, right? So in Tamil you have ksha and shri, and these are the two samiktaksharas we use, right? The combination of k plus sha comes ksha, and this is basically sha, ra, and e comes shri. And same way in Devanagari, to write the word, write the consonant dha, you write the, and write the dha at the bottom. Same way to write the word dear, you kind of write combine the plus here in one single stroke to give this. Again, also write word inner, sometimes you write together, right? You basically take the first consonant and the second consonant, and you squish it together, or you take the first consonant or the second consonant and you place one below the other, right? And Grantha pretty much has the same concept. So in very simple terms, so if we have per, and I want to write the word ippa, I just have to take the per and write another per in below. It becomes per, right? So I want to write the word pla, right? I just have to take per and put the la beneath it. As simple as that. So I want to write the word, say, Vigna, right? Let's take a word, Vigna. So Vigna, or right, Vigna, right? So it's V because it's one Samyuktakshara. So it would be Gna, right? It would be Vigna, right? Some way you can write Kla as K and La, right? Be Kla. They may want to say, I don't know. Let me take an English word. It's easier. I won't write the word. Say flow, right? Basically, I won't write the word. Flow. Basically, treat as if this thing is one single letter. Flow, right? So when something's written like beneath the other, they become one sound. So this becomes pl, the, let's say st. So let's take this and have st, sta, sti, sti, stu, stu, ste, stai, sto, stau. I could focus, you can have str, 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 right? So this behaves like one single contiguous letter, right? But this is not always the case, right? Sometimes if a letter is particularly cursive, right, you can basically push together and write them in like one single stroke. For instance, the word twa, the 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 the, the cluster twa, right? You can write as the plus were, and right, as you know, since it's slightly cursive, you can write as one single letter. Same way, I won't write the letter, the cluster huh.
When we write this thwa, like you have written it in the second line, do we get that loop between the th and ver letter? Is it compulsory
Yes,
to get that loop?
it's compulsory, yeah.
Okay.
So you have to write it with the loop to show that
Okay.
it's one single character.
Oh, okay. So it's joined. Okay.
It's joined. But in some cases you don't. For instance, the it doesn't have the loop because the individual letters, right? The and the, they don't have the loop here. When you write it together, it doesn't get the loop, but this gets the loop.
What is the last one here with the th?
So you have it's th.
Okay.
So yeah.
Th. Okay.
Th, yeah.
It's a stressed th.
Yeah, it's as it's Mahaprana. So you have
Okay.
th and th. Mahaprana.
Okay.
So you have this unwritten, this
Th and th. Okay.
yeah, and it becomes right.
Okay.
Sometimes in print, you do get this because people are lazy to typeset. But when you handwrite something, it's more natural to write them in one single stroke. Same way, there are like few other letters, right, that are like squished together. It's easier. Certain things you can actually see what they are. For instance, the you can see that it's written together. Of course, you can also write like this, but when handwriting, you usually single letter. Again, the word, the consonant the, you can write it or like this. But I prefer to write this way because when you're handwriting, you don't have to like lift the pen and put it down. It becomes one continuous stroke. Similar would be anything with n, right?
So
Like n.
when we write both ways, like side by side and one on top and bottom, both are right in this?
Both are right, yeah.
Both are right? Okay.
Yeah, both are right because something is preferred. So if there a side by side form is present, it's preferred.
Okay.
It doesn't mean this is wrong. If you know what I mean.
Okay, but it is
That's
accepted. Both are accepted.
Both are accepted. Of course, side by side is preferred. So thwa is more natural and more common compared to thwa.
Okay.
But I can show you publications where thwa is written like this.
Okay.
But mostly you'll find it like this.
Okay.
Right. Again, it's easy to write, you know. It's just one stroke.
As long as
Here
it's
you have to think.
accepted, I think it should be okay.
But yeah. Same way you have n. N fuses with the, and third similar way. So you get the and in the. Right. Again, these are like very obvious. Once you see that, you can see that what's the first letter and what's the second letter, you have to read it together. Same way. It's ija. Again, it's quite obvious. And you have n and m. M, right? It's just quite cursive, and you just put two forms together. Same way you have n and v, you get nva. Oh, one thing I forgot, probably I should have told. Okay, let's go back. I said right. I just remembered it. So you have ka and you have uk, right? And you have ga and you have uk. For like two letters. Minute. For like three letters, you don't use the top, but you get a special sign, right? So you don't write it, but you write it like this. You don't write but you write it like this. You don't write but you write it like this. Don't ask me why, but these are the preferred conventional forms. I think it's possibly because my theory is like these are like very common endings in Sanskrit, like brihat and naman and anything that ends with it, in, and in. It's very common in Grantha in Sanskrit. So anything that involves like taking the pen out, it becomes difficult. So people have like sort of like cursive forms instead of writing where you have to take the pen out and inside. You can have like one cursive form like this same way. It's writing you have a cursive form of this, and instead of this, you have one cursive form, one cursive form. And again, these are not optional. And like 99% of the time, for it in an im, people always use the cursive forms, right? There are some cases you can see the explicit forms, like the non-cursive forms, but most times it's always the cursive ones. I should have covered it last time, like with the vowel signs. I totally forgot. Yeah, just remember this bit, right? It in an im, they have like special cursive forms. So yeah, I said right. In most cases, when you see the conjunct, like when it's a samyuktakshara, it's it's quite clear like what are the individual parts. For instance, this clearly sh and ch, right? Again, this clearly ish and ta, right? Uh, it's very clear, right? You can basically guess what it is on seeing it. And if you want to get a list of all such special forms, you can basically, let me close this and let me share my screen. So you can go to Granthavarman. See the conjuncts. You can see all the side by side conjuncts, right? Ksha, ta, cha, gnya, ja, ta, da, tha, ma, hma, right? And yeah, I said right. In most cases, the individual components are like very obvious, right? Of course, there are some cases where it's difficult. Let's just cover those. So you have ma, right? mm, and ma, and you have nwa, and wa. You have na, which is basically and na, and you have inta, which is basically anta. So whenever you see this with the consonant, it basically stands for this. So anta is written like this. Right. And you also have the is basically in the, you can see like this thing from here. Also you have ma, which is basically hu and ma. This curved parts becomes here. Again, there are like few special cases, right? You have the, which is basically
Oh, I
this.
cannot see your screen again.
Okay,
Again,
okay.
I don't know what's happening.
Can you come in and log out
No,
and log
but
in
why
again?
is that happening? I mean, this is the first time this is happening like this.
I have no idea. I have no clue.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
just log out and log in again.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, I can see now.
Okay, right. Again, just to recap, right? In most cases, you can see the individual parts, but in some cases, you have special forms. It's very hard to find the individual parts. For instance, the and hma and the, but you can see like this thing comes from the, this comes from the, and just people write it in a cursive form together, right? Um, um, Again, you have forms such like, so ma becomes imma, and again plus va becomes dva, right? It just becomes one cursive forms. That's a table nice in Grantha. Just go there. You can see like there are around 15 to 20 forms where the letters are like squeezed together.
That's
Uh,
Dwa, is it? The last one?
it's dva, yeah.
Dwa. Okay.
Dva. Right. There are like around 15 to 20 forms where the things are like squished together. For everything else, you just write one below the other, right? Let me write all of them because I have a table here just to summarize. Uh, Let me go down. So you have sh, t, and you have dnya, you have j, and you have tva, th, you have th, nda, you have m, nva, sh, st. But on all these things, it's quite clear. And you have hma, what the individual components are, right? Um, there are certain things that's completely slightly difficult. For instance, nta, nna. So this is basically nta. This is basically n, right? And you have the, that is basically id, and the written in one cursive form, right? And same way we have id and va becoming dva, right? Um, and sometimes we have nya and cha becoming ncha. I prefer this form. Sometimes you find the simplified version of like this for ncha, but both are correct, right? So I personally prefer writing completely for incha, but sometimes you find the simplified form of this. Um, both are correct, right? And you have right? And right? And everything else that's not written side by side, you can just write it below one another. Ikka, ta, pla, na, gna, ga, kha, right? So everything that doesn't fit into the above pattern, so it's not the where we don't have like a cursive form, you can just write it like one below the other, as simple as that. Again, that's a common rule. And we'll go to the special forms, right? So r and here, they're special for obvious reasons, right? So r, when it comes after a consonant, it has a beautiful form. So this is k, this is kr, right? This is k, this is kya. Right. So instead of writing kr or kya, you have this nice form of kr and kya, right? Because r and ya are special, right? Same way you can take p and you have r, and you have g and you have gr. Same way you can have p and you have p and you have g and you have g, right? Similar to what we saw when you write vowel signs, all of this behave like a single structure. So we have pro, pre, same way we have gya, gyo, gi. Right? But when R comes before a consonant, right, it's written after it. And that's the only quirky thing of Grantha, right? If you know Devanagari, you know that like this is Arka, right? You write the ir on top of the character, right? In Grantha, you write it after the character. So you have a ka arka, right? This means like the ir comes before ka. So let's say samarpa, sama anpa, because it's an as an ir, it becomes samarpa. So ir, to say that a consonant has like ir before it, you have to write this after the consonant. And that's the only quirky bit of Grantha, right? Um, so you have ka, you have kra, and you have here, and you have irka. Right. And these are like the three special forms you'll see, where Raya and Ranya takes like widely, slightly quirky form, right? Apart from that, most consonants take like one below the other. And in some other special cases, you have sort of like special cursive forms, right? And I suggested these special forms, they come with practice. And in many cases, it's very obvious what are the individual components. In some cases, they look like completely different from the individual components. But if like tear into them, we can pretty much see um, what this belongs to, for instance, like, right? Yeah, Grantha. But basically, this is basically this bit slightly made cursive. So we had and this part just became cursive and was attached to the to give you in the again plus na. This part became cursive, which became this. Right. Anything that has this with the consonant is probably in, right? The other parts are like just things squished together. So you have id and the, you can squish it together into one character like this. Again, it looks slightly different, but you can feel like the top part comes from this, the rest comes from here. Same way. You can see like this is basically the, and this part comes from the. Like I said, the site Granthavarman has like the whole list of the cursive forms. and you can basically practice it. Apart from that, you have sort of like special form for R and Y. You have K. You have K here and Irka. And as seen earlier, all of these Amiktaksharas act like a single block. See, when you write them with vowel signs, you don't split them. You treat them as like single contiguous block for all practical purposes. So any questions at all? Or are things clear?
It's clear, but then I think we need to practice because it's a little bit confusing. Everything looks similar. So to differentiate this, I think, when you are doing it on your board, it looks very simple. But then when I'm looking into my paper, everything looks similar to me. Like, for example, you just wrote the n plus n, no? So it looks very similar to the l after l, that l and this. It all looks like similar one. All looks like jalebis to me. I'm not able to differentiate the thing there. So it's a bit confusing there.
No, I mean, like I said, right? The more you practice, right, you can see the different forms.
Can you just English, show that n, and n, that double n that you did last?
Yeah, I can show you
how to do that again.
Yeah, I can do that.
Too many, like I said, like jalebis, it's going round.
Right, it's quite easy. So you have no, right?
No, I can't see it again. Every time you move out of your board and come back, I'm not able to see it.
Okay, you have to log in and log out. Let's do that.
Oh God. Okay.
I mean, next week it will probably be fixed.
I don't know what's the problem with this. Okay, I'll just get back quickly.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So this is okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. And the l is like this.
Right. It looks very similar to me when I look at this, except for the tail.
Yeah. But in print, it's quite easier because if this has a curve right here, right? And this has a line here.
Yeah.
And you can see the individual nerve separately, clearly here. And this doesn't have that. So yeah.
Okay. And there are quite a few of these curved ones, like all the matras are there, which are looking very similar to this. So I think that's where the confusion is.
I think I said, right, one thing you can do is like practice and there's no other way.
Yes.
The more you practice, right?
Right.
The easier it becomes, because all these cursive forms, they would look
very similar. Yes.
Unless you know the individual components by heart, right? And sometimes you can't differentiate what's what.
Okay.
I said, right, there are only like 10 to 15 discursive samiktaksharas, and once you know how to write them and read them, everything else is like basically like writing one letter below the other.
Okay. Well, practice.
That's very simple. So there should be no confusion in that. Writing one below the other. But the cursive forms, just look at the chart on the side, and you can practice writing it and maybe reading it. In fact, there are only like 3 or 4 characters where the samiktakshara like looks completely different from the the constituent letters. You have dva, it's slightly difficult. Dha, it's slightly difficult. Ma, nta, na. Yeah, like 4 to 5. They take completely different forms, but others are basically like just taking one and another and just like squishing it together. And it's
Okay.
those are quite obvious. Again, keep practicing, and again, if you have any questions at all, you can mail me, and that
Sure.
should be fine.
Sure.
I know it's a lot. Yeah, I said, right, as Vidya pointed out, right, you can take like any shloka that you know, right, and convert it into Grantha, right, and you can start reading it, right. That's one way of like picking up the characters. For instance, I can show you again my site. Let me share my screen again. Da, 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 da. Right. You can go to reading practice, right? You can take anything. I don't know, right? It's gonna take some time. So let's take Devanagari, right? You can say right, Shru, the, right? A, Ka, Mi, N, Ta, Ma, Ye, and Gridhra, Kute, right? You can sort of like pick up the individual letters, what it means, and also the mitaksharas. Thing is like as long you understand like the script grammar, you can sort of pick things up. One thing you can also do is like go to Sanskrit documents, right? Take any text that you already know by heart. Let's say Vishnu. That's a Ganesha, right? I don't take any like stotra, right? And change it to Grantha from the option above, right? Yeah. And since it's stotra that you know, you can pretty much start reading it, right? And you can start reading because something in your head already. You just have to follow what's written here. I don't know if you can read like Lalita Sahasranama or like Krishna Sahasranama, you can basically take any stotra that you know, change it to Grantha, and start start reading it. That's something you could do. I said, right, reading is easy. It's just a matter of like taking a text and discovering the forms. But for writing, you need to practice, right? So next, the important thing is like you understand how the script grammar works, right? And once you know that, you can basically start reading text, and that's the important bit. Nobody writes these days. I don't write anything at all. I compose everything online. So writing is this day and age, writing is secondary. You have keyboards to compose things online. You have things to read online. But writing helps you like to learn things faster. So I would totally recommend like writing a piece of paper and following the charts. But yeah, take a text and start reading it, because by this you know how the script works. the script grammar. You just have to put all the things in your head in one single contiguous, understandable way. And that might take some time. We just have to synthesize what you have learned. So we have one more week anyway. So next week, we'll like um, go through like the vowel circumference and basically summarize the rules of Samyuktaksharas because they might be a little bit complicated. And like once we do that, we can start taking like small words and small text from printed textbooks and see like how far we get along on reading it. Uh, but yeah, next we have just still have one more week. It's good that we had like an hour and a half this time. Last time we just had an hour. I couldn't complete a lot of things. So next week we can basically go through Samyuktaksharas one more time to understand the rules, reiterate the basic consonant, the vowels, and the vowel signs, and we'll take like a actual printed Grantha textbook, and we'll start reading it. And that would be it. So you like even one of you, right? Either they see the recording or like they attend it online, and if they can like sort of like take any digitized Grantha book and start reading it, that would be amazing, to be honest. And that's what we want, technically. So do you guys have any questions? Else we can stop this session.
No, it was clear.
All right.
It is just our practice now.
Yeah, just practice it. That's it. Yeah, we'll do one revision thing next week, and we'll take a real text. And that's pretty much it.
Sure. Thank you.
No worries. You're welcome. So that's